Hey everybody, welcome to today's training. It's episode 5 of our 13-part coach training series. Today we're going to be talking about removing barriers to success. Thank you again for joining me. I hope you're getting a lot out of this training, and please leave your comments and feedback so that I can make this training specific to you. I want to hear what you want more of, what you want less of, and I want to be able to fulfill on that for you. So today we're going to be talking about several topics. We're going to be talking about measurement of success, like how do you define success. We'll talk about the energy of success. We're going to look at energy blocks, like I said last time. We're going to look at outer blocks and then the 4 inner blocks. We're going to look at how those blocks might show up in your life so that you can recognize them pretty easily. We'll talk briefly about how you can work with me to get the most out of coach training, and then we'll talk about our next session, which is session 6, which is emotional intelligence. So you might have a certain definition of success, so we're going to drill down a little bit into that for you so that you can figure out how you define success, because all that matters is how you define it so that you know what you're measuring and you know where you're going. You're going to learn how to define how you measure success and what you do to ensure you'll be successful. You're going to learn how certain energy levels attract success while others repel it. You'll explore 5 energy blocks, the outer and 4 inner blocks, and determine how those affect your ability to achieve and accomplish in your life, work, and at home. And then we're going to assess your level of engagement within your leadership role. So you might want to get your notebook out and start getting your information together so you can create your own success pathway for yourself, because this training is for you. So take a few minutes to reflect on the following questions. What is, number 1, your definition of success? And leave yourself a little bit of space to write that down, or write all these down and then write in the spaces after, however you like to do it. Next, how do you measure success at work and in your personal life? After that, how do you measure success as a leader professionally and personally? And remember, we're all leaders. We're all moving people into action. And with this course, you're going to make conscious choices to inspire others to become leaders like you are and like you're becoming. Next question, how do I respond when my measure of success suggests that I'm not making progress? After that, what do I do in my life at work and at home to ensure I'm successful in what I do? After that, what are my most important ingredients for success? And the last question for you is, what additional clarity do I need to help me focus more effectively on making my success a reality? So after this video, you can fill that in. You can get right to work on what you're looking at as for success. And we're going to talk about barriers, because why not identify the barriers up front so that as you're succeeding and going along, you can say, okay, what's going on, so that I know when something comes up how I handle myself. So whether or not you're aware of it, success is a result of many things like opportunity, talent, creative vision, conflict resolution, quick and accurate decision making, and overcoming any obstacles or barriers. So as we reviewed before, anabolic energy attracts success and creates growth. Catabolic energy repels success and creates destruction. And if you believe in the law of attraction, you can think of anabolic as things that make you feel good or things that you attract. And you can think of catabolic as things that you repel or things that don't make you feel good. So to achieve and create the greatest opportunity for success, you want to make sure that your overarching energy, like your average energy of the day, is as high as possible. So there's 2 ways to do this. One, you can take what we call an energy leadership assessment, which is part of the Energy Leadership Development Program. It's a formal assessment. You would take it online. You would contact me or another energy leadership coach. We would facilitate that for you, and then we would debrief you on it so that you understand, well, what is it, now that I know what all my energies are and where they fall in my percentages during the day, and what my average, like if you average a 3 during the day, you're averaging anabolic, but that means sometimes you're catabolic, sometimes you're anabolic. If you're averaging a 2, then you're mostly angry and afraid, and sometimes you're anabolic and growth producing. But the good news is that at any time you can change your attitude, and we're learning how to do that now, and you can change the results that you get by doing that. So give yourself an assessment on your average level from 1 to 7. Where do you think you fall? Don't ask anybody else, because this is a second way to do it. You can give yourself your own average resonating level. This is not going to be as accurate as an assessment, because it's not going to measure certain things that are measurable based on what the assessment does. What you're going to do is you're going to rate yourself. You're going to say, oh, I'm a 4, I'm mostly compassionate. I'm a 1, I'm afraid all the time. I never want to leave the house. I'm afraid of this pandemic. I'm afraid of, anything going on in the world. I'm afraid of what's going on in politics. I'm afraid of this, that, or the other thing. I'm God-fearing. I'm always afraid. Whatever you are. Or you could say, I'm a 6. I'm joyful. I always believe that people are succeeding and working together and helping each other all the time, and that's what I do. So give yourself that rating. And then write, what is the success that you desire? What's the most important thing that you'd like to see succeed in today and this week and between now and the next training? And then look at your average resonating level and say, because I have this average resonating level of 6, a 2, I attract success by doing what? Like, what are the things you're doing? Then look at that resonating level again and say your desired success in conflict and resisting in other ways. Like, for example, let's say you're resonating at like a 6, but every now and then you get like a level 2 energy. How do you want to overcome that? And we're going to drill down deeper into that shortly. And then basically, I want to explore the following in order to raise my average energy level and attract the success I desire. So you might say, I want to pursue having a coach. I might want to have a mentor. I might want to work with a consultant. I might want to try out this new program that I found on Instagram or on YouTube, or I might want to try a free training series. I might want to get a library card and start reading books. I might want to talk to business professionals that want to mentor me and basically find out what can I learn for myself so that I can be better and attract my success. So from here, we're going to look at your levels 1 through 7. So in levels 1 and 2, you want to create strategies to break through your catabolic thinking and reduce your victim and anger energy. So your victim is level 1, your anger is level 2, as much as you can. So what are you going to do today, this week, tomorrow, the next month, etc., for your time frames of when you want to achieve your success? What are you going to do to reduce your being afraid, reduce your conflict, being angry, or getting short with somebody in traffic when they cut you off? How are you going to woosah, take a breath and relax and see eye to eye with your inner self so that you can say, okay, now I know I have a strategy to calm myself down, to get into action if I'm afraid and feeling apathetic, or to not be so angry all the time. Then you're going to look at levels 3, which is responsibility, and level 4, which is concern. How do you keep growing your responsibility and your concern for yourself, for your others, for success? You're going to look at level 5, which is reconciliation, and then look at level 6, which is synthesis, and look at level 7, which is non-judgment. And what are your strategies to utilize reconciliation, use synthesis, use non-judgment? Write those down for yourself. Those are going to become important so that you know what your roadmap to your success is. Now let's get into energy blocks, because these are the barriers to success that we were talking about. So for example, you can have outer blocks. This is block number 1. These are outside of yourself, and they could be anything from a traffic light to a bouncer. Like I said in the last video, they could be poor economic conditions that might limit resources. You might have a leader that you see is blocking your success or keeping you from getting that promotion. But as a leader yourself, you know that you can be effortless and work through your factors of outer blocks so that you can gain the advantage and have the success that you want. Sometimes you might find yourself paralyzed by the outer conditions, and you might not even consider that you can find success. So then we're going to look at internal blocks, because sometimes your internal blocks are going to create something that your outer blocks might be exacerbating. But first, let's look at types of outer blocks. Sorry, I rushed a little bit. So one of the things for an outer block can be lack of time or time management, lack of capital or money or other resources to get a job done, lack of proper or properly trained team, family, or partners. You could have a skill and education obstacle. You could have legal and regulatory, sorry about my pronunciation, obstacles. You can have equipment malfunctions, lack of knowledge, inability to effectively communicate, personal and familiar responsibilities, familial, not familiar. You get a poor appearance. You can have inability to connect with others. And now look at, from the description of above, what are your 3 top tenacious outer blocks and that matter to you, that you want to get results in. So write them out and then create a strategy for each one of them, so how you're going to overcome those blocks. Let's get into inner blocks with the time that we have left. So in the inner block, your first could be your limiting beliefs. These hold you back from success. Sometimes you might not believe something is possible, so you're not even likely to attempt it. And even if you do attempt it, you want to devote much energy to it to achieve the goal, because you have a belief about the world, your environment, or a situation that stands in your way. So for example, a limiting belief could be leaders are tough, or being a leader is tough. Leaders tell people what to do. They don't inspire people. Leaders don't show emotion. Leadership is hard. Leaders are born, not raised. Successful people are lucky. Success takes hard work. Success is about making money. That may or may not be true. So look at those areas and other areas that you might be limiting yourself in, and consider, what are my strategies for overcoming these most important limiting beliefs that are challenging me right now. In order to challenge the limiting beliefs right back so that you can have success, I'll give you some strategies that you can work with. You can provide energy to the contrary, or evidence, which also you'll be giving your energy, but provide evidence to the contrary, so that if you say, oh, well, leaders tell people what to do. No, they don't. They inspire people. Effective leaders, conscious leaders. You can challenge that. Challenge by exploring what effect the belief has had on your life. Look for proof of its truth or lack of proof, and modify your belief or aspects of the belief to serve you better. After that, we have what we're going to call assumptions. This is inner block number 2 and overall block number 3. Now, an assumption is simply something happened the way that it did before, and it's bound to happen that way again. And so some examples of that could be, my people will never communicate effectively. My workers are lazy and unproductive. I just can't find good help. I'm not an inspirational person. How can I motivate others when I can't motivate myself? I've always had to work hard to succeed, so I always will have to work hard to succeed. It's hard to teach old dogs new tricks. In order for me to succeed, I have to put myself first. My son will never be good in math. I will never truly be successful. So what assumptions are you currently living with and putting up with? And let's challenge those assumptions. So the main question to ask is, just because it happened in the past, why must it happen again? And now create your strategy for your assumptions so that you can work through those when those pop up. And if other ones pop up that you're not aware of any of these blocks, write them down and immediately create a strategy and start living that strategy, so that right away you can get an effective result. Internal block number 3 is an interpretation. So it's harder to identify these sometimes, but sometimes when you interpret something, you create an opinion about an event, about a situation, or about an experience in life. And the result is, you might interpret, oh, I went on a date and somebody told me, or I asked somebody out on a date and they told me no, maybe I didn't dress nicely enough. And then you might think, oh, well, now every time I'm going to ask somebody out on a date, I better have my wardrobe on fleek and, get ready to show out the best that I can. How can you what do interpretations look like in other ways? He doesn't like me. They don't respect me. They don't want to follow orders. She doesn't care about the business. My son is just plain lazy. So what are you currently interpreting that may not be accurate? What energy is created within you and around you as a result of these interpretations? And if you stick with them, what's that going to mean for you? So let's look at challenging some interpretations for yourself. Of the interpretations that you listed above, which do you want to challenge? What might be the alternative points of view for the interpretations? Like, it's not my clothes. They just might not have been feeling well that day. You could ask them too. Say, well, why didn't you ask me out on the date? Or say yes to me asking you out on the date. Another question you might ask to challenge interpretations is, how might you integrate these new points of view into your life? And last but not least, in terms of internal energy blocks, is gremlins, or your inner voice, or your inner critic. It's not the least of the 5 internal energies, and it's always there, and it's always listening, and it's always providing you information to the contrary, like, hey, it ain't ever going to happen. I'm not effective. Who am I kidding here? I'm not smart enough to really do this job. I don't have enough experience. I don't deserve great success. They're going to find out that I'm a phony. So what's your gremlin? And what is it saying to you? And how would your success be different if that gremlin were quiet? One way to get rid of that gremlin is to give it a name. Now, don't name it somebody that you know, because you don't want that to be associated with your inner voice. Give it a name, draw a picture of it, make a caricature. It could be something silly. It could be something fun. And make sure that you have a good hold over it, because you're in control. So when your gremlin shows up and tells you, hey, not today, buddy. You get to say, no, you're going to be on my side today. So let's pick this up in part 2.